Hey, it's Rachel. We got a lot of comments and questions when I did the tomato pruning video, so I'm going to follow up with a cucumber and squash pruning video. They are both members of the Cucurbitaceae family, and they're both subject to powdery mildew, so you're really trying to prune for airflow. And yes, I'm going to use a molecular chemistry set little model here to explain the cucumber, because I think it's a lot easier if you know what you're looking for. So, abstract version here, but when you're growing on a trellis, I highly recommend growing a cucumber on a trellis. It helps a lot with airflow and preventing the mildew. And so each of these yellow balls here is a node. And on the cucumber, if you grow it to a single stem, imagine like these are the single stem. It's pretty easy to spot a node because each one will have a fruit, which I'm showing with this little blue nitrogen molecule, and it will have a leaf, which is my little green one here, the chlorine. And it will also have a tendril, and I'm showing this as like the really long bendy one here. So those are the three things you want. The blue or fruit is what we want overall. The leaves support the photosynthesis so it can produce the fruit, and the tendrils hold them in place on the trellis. And so what you want is just a bunch of these things vertically stacked. Now the other thing coming out of a node is a growth tip. So kind of like a tomato sucker. Each one of these can make another plant. And so if you left that, right, I'll just kind of stick another one on here, you would end up with another node with another fruit and another leaf, which sounds good, but I'll add another one. That'll keep on going, right? So now you've got another node, and pretty quickly, instead of a well-pruned, good airflow cucumber, to use a technical term, you've got a hot mess. So what you want to do instead is to prune off these suckers. And then when you do that, it allows the plant to keep on growing vertically. And so you can have your kind of single stem approach here, just like I do with tomatoes. Hang on, let me put this back together. So when you're done, what you want to end up with is a nice vertical clustering of nodes, right? And each one, you pull off the sucker so it doesn't form anything, and you're left with this single stem, leaves, fruits, tendrils, right? So let me show you what this looks like on an actual cucumber plant, now that we kind of went through the abstract version. So this is our cucumber plant, and you can see this is a node right here. So it's got, as an example, this little guy. You have a tendril coming off, holding it to the trellis. You have your leaf, and then right over here, you can't really see it very well necessarily, but on the back side, we had a blossom that got pollinated and it's turning into a fruit. Down here, same thing. You've got your fruit, you've got a little tendril right here, you've got your leaf. You'll notice there's no suckers. I've been trimming them off as I went along. So this one's been pruned, but all the way at the bottom here, if you look, I missed this one. So this is a node. It's got a blossom for some fruit. It's got a leaf. It's got this tendril coming off of it and going to the trellis. It's also got this whole thing here. And so this is a sucker that I missed. And as you can see, it's starting to form a new cucumber plant. It's got a growth tip. It's got its own nodes happening. I'm gonna go ahead and leave this, I'm not gonna cut it all the way off at the base because it is forming a fruit here. So I'm just gonna cut it off there and stop the plant from continuing to bush out. But I'll leave that just so that this little fruit can continue going because it looks like it got pollinated. So that's how you wanna prune a cucumber. So this thing's just gonna keep on going right on up the trellis. And I've just got it now pruned down to a single stem. So turning now to squash, completely different story. I don't trellis these. I think you can theoretically do it, but they just don't naturally grow that way. They form bushes, and so in order to get the airflow, you really have to be good about opening these up and removing extra leaves. It's also how you let pollinators in, and so if you look, most of the blossoms here happen right at the interior of the plant. And so if I left all of these leaves, I would not get good pollinator access. They could figure it out, but it's a lot better to open it up a little bit. The other thing you'll notice is they start growing into each other, and pretty quickly there's not any airflow and they get all mildewy. So I'm just gonna quickly remove this leaf, and I'll probably remove this leaf so that these two plants get a little bit more airflow in between them. And then for this plant, I just kind of think about like which of these leaves are redundant, right? I don't really need like this leaf and this leaf and this leaf. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this guy off, open it up a little bit. Similarly, down here, I've got like this leaf and this leaf and this leaf, and they're all kind of in the same place. They're all kind of capturing the same sun. So I'll just go in and kind of clip those off as I go. So it's really just about trying to, again, open up airflow and allow some pollinator access. This squash plant is still pretty young and it doesn't have a ton of leaves yet, so I'm gonna leave that one alone, and I just cut it off over here to free up some access. But generally, that's what you wanna do with squash. Just think about airflow. I'm gonna cut off this one too. Airflow and pollinator access, and making sure that you're gonna get good fruit set and not end up with a whole bunch of powdery mildew on your squash. The other nice thing about pruning a squash is that these are great for mulch. So if you've got trying to suppress weeds and block things, just laying one of these puppies down covers a lot of surface area. So I also just like using these as mulch. So it's another good free source for that. So I hope that was helpful. Again, send me questions or comments. That's the whole reason I did this video, was because you guys asked me questions about the last one. So I'll keep doing that if you guys keep having questions. So hope that was helpful, and hope that your plants stay healthy. Thanks.